Welcome into the standard. I still don't know what episode it is, but we're finally back. We finally have me and Jack together at the same time recording. We're going to get back on a schedule. Jack, it's draft month, NFL draft here in, roughly 4 weeks. Whenever you guys are seeing this episode, you're probably seeing this Monday, April 1st. So happy April Fool's Day to those who celebrate. But Jack, how you feeling? How you been? How has life been in general?
I've been great. It's been a long couple of weeks not on here. It's been hard to just coordinate, get something going. Spring break. Uh, NFL draft upcoming. Best part of the off season. Greatest, I would say, 3 days of the off season. That should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see what happens. The NCAA tournament's been a lot of fun. I've been watching a lot of the games. I'm sure you guys have too. But life's been treating me well over the last couple of weeks.
Well, that's good. That's good. I wanted to touch on the NCAA tournament at the beginning. Your Buccos got a big win, so congrats to you. We're going to talk about the Pirates a little bit here. I guess we'll just lead off with that. Pirates won 6-4 yesterday, right?
6-5.
6-5, pardon me. All right, where do you want to head with this? Tell me what happened. You said it took several years off your life.
It
It
probably
sounds
did.
reminiscent of a Steelers game.
It does. And the most frustrating part about that is that there's 162 baseball games instead of 17. So the first game of the season should not take years off your life. Essentially what happened, the Pirates were down early. They were down 5-2 in the fifth inning. And then Mitch Keller got pulled and the bullpen didn't give up another run. And then we somehow tied the game. And if you guys are unfamiliar with the extra innings rule, a runner starts on second base to begin the inning. And the Pirates were the away team, so we hit first in extra innings and went 3 straight innings without scoring that run, or 2 straight innings without scoring that run from second base. And our relief pitchers that weren't even our best guy who was hurt managed to also stop the Marlins, and then we scored in the 12th and then held them. So Pirates won in an incredibly stressful game 1 of the season. So good stuff.
So the Pirates are on pace for 162-0. O'Neal
Yeah.
Cruz can hit the fuck out of a baseball.
It was so funny. He had 4 at bats against lefties and went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Then there's 1 at bat against a righty, just drilled a ball out the left for a bomb. I love that guy. He's so good.
All right, so the Pirates, hopefully they don't get out to what were they last year? 20-8 at one point,
20 and
leading
8, yeah.
leading the league, and then
Mhm.
they lost 20 in a row, I think.
It was insane. It started. It was 7 games in a row, and then we won 1, and then lost another 5 in a row. It was bad.
Oh my god! So we'll talk about the Pirates more and more as the season picks up, because in their division, I don't really trust anybody in the division. So if the Pirates maybe aren't ass completely, maybe they're contending for a playoff spot. Maybe I'm just coping, but I don't know. It should be a fun season to watch. Regardless, we'll move into the NCAA tournament. The Sweet 16 games started last night. Who won? Clemson won. Illinois won. North Carolina lost.
Lost. North
They
Carolina
did
lost.
lose to Alabama. And there were 4 ACC teams in the Sweet 16. And I don't think we've ever talked about it on this podcast. Me and Jack have a friendly rivalry. It seems like we're always debating about the ACC. And my hate for the ACC is mainly in football. I think it is by far the worst football conference. I think it's a joke. I've said ACC basketball is good, but still, if you want to give me shit because 4 ACC teams made it to the Sweet 16, yeah. Now, Jack, I'm going to ask you a very important question. Do you think Pitt could do what Clemson's doing right now?
I would say, I don't know. Beating Arizona is a stretch. I think we could have beat New Mexico and Baylor.
Okay.
Here's the thing. The media created this huge narrative that the ACC is. I get the hate with the ACC in football. The ACC sucks in football. That is
Yes.
true. It's true. ACC basketball. I don't know what happened because it was a 5-year stretch where we were widely considered the best conference in basketball, and then for some reason, this narrative was created that the conference sucks. And it's funny because the whole regular season, these teams that from the ACC that are near the bubble or on the bubble that just shouldn't be, then don't get in. And then you watch the teams that do get in, all 4 of them made the Sweet 16 except for Virginia. Virginia was really bad. I would have told you, too, that they should not have made it. But, I mean, Clemson, Duke, and North Carolina, probably both were expected to make the Sweet 16, but Clemson and NC State. NC State was the 10 seed in the ACC and came in and made the Sweet 16 in the tournament after winning the ACC tournament. So I just think it's funny that every single year in the tournament, the ACC teams do well, and the narrative has not changed the last couple of years. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, NC State probably stole a bid from Pitt, if we're being honest.
I don't think it would have mattered. I think we still would have been out. We were like the third team out or something. It's stupid. I don't know.
And if I'm being honest, everything went wrong for Pitt at the end. I mean, everything that could have went wrong went wrong. It went so bad that the other team from Pittsburgh made the tournament and Pitt didn't. Duquesne made the tournament over Pitt. They hadn't made the tournament in 50 years. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a very unfortunate series of events for Pitt. I guess I'll ask you this. The games this weekend, who do you see winning it all? Because I feel like we're seeing the same thing that we saw last year with UConn.
I 100% agree. I was watching the game yesterday, and I was talking to my friends. I was like, is anybody even capable of beating UConn?
It seems like such a lame take to just sit here and say, oh, yeah, UConn is going to win it all. No, they're that good. Nobody's going to beat them.
They've led by 30 in every single game in the tournament through 3 rounds. They're unbelievable. They're ridiculous.
And I think the game between them and Illinois will be very, very good. I think Iowa State matches up a little bit better with UConn.
Definitely.
Just because I think they're a little better defensively.
Illinois can't defend for anything.
Exactly. And I don't know. I don't know that UConn's going to beat Illinois by 30. If they beat Illinois by 30, it's over. You might as well chalk up the tournament right there. But I feel like whoever comes out of that UConn-Illinois game, I feel like that's got to be my pick for the national champion. Because if Illinois is able to beat UConn, respect to them. I just don't think anybody is capable of doing what UConn can do night in and night out. They're just so consistent. It's literally unbelievable.
I think the one team that's left that I could see beating UConn is Houston. I think when you're that good, but the thing is, I don't see Houston making the championship after watching them or at least in the second round game. They played Duke today. I don't see them making the championship, but I think if they do, they have a good shot against UConn just because when you're that good defensively, if you can stop a team from scoring, you can win. So, I don't know.
Do you believe in Purdue? Do you believe in Zach Edey?
I think Zach Edey is really good when he doesn't play elite defensive centers. And when you look at Houston, you look at UConn, those are kind of the two teams that come in my mind. When I think one of those two teams Purdue's going to have to beat if they're going to win the championship, and I don't see Purdue beating a UConn or Houston. I don't.
I really do think that Purdue has a fairly, all things considered, fairly easier path to the Final Four, just because I think whoever they would have to play in the Elite Eight between Creighton and Tennessee, unless they're shooting the absolute lights out, I just don't think they're as good as Purdue.
Right.
Either of those
I've been high on Creighton, too.
I'm very, very high on Creighton and Tennessee both because I think they're built very similarly. And the fact that they just score in bunches, but that's not, I don't know that they're not consistent enough.
No.
So night in, night out, you saw it with Creighton. They almost lost to 2 players in Oregon.
Yeah. That Houston, I wanted to talk about the Houston A&M game. I thought it was actually one of the more wild finishes you'll see to a college basketball game. Houston was up 10 with a minute left and blew the lead and gave up a buzzer beater 3 to send it to overtime. And they were playing overtime with 4 starters fouled out of the game. And they won. They had this guy in the game. He's like their bench warmer his name's Ryan Elvin. He's their bench warmer that comes off the bench when they're up by 30 to chuck threes, and like the whole team loves him. And he hit 2 clutch free throws to like win the game. It was wild. It's crazy. And UNC, this is funny too. UNC and Arizona both lost. And their leading scorers, respectively, Caleb Love and R.J. Davis, were beefing over a girl when they were both at North Carolina. And Caleb Love ended up leaving to go to Arizona because of that whole situation. And they yesterday in the Sweet 16 shot a combined 0 for 19 from 3, and they both lost. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I was promised a Caleb Love versus North Carolina game in the Elite Eight, and
neither one of them made it.
Now we're getting Alabama-Clemson.
Alabama-Clemson. Oh,
that's unbelievable that we could see. I mean, it doesn't feel like either of those teams were really expected to make the Final Four, especially Clemson.
I had Bama losing in the second round to St.
And
Mary's.
I did see this on Twitter yesterday. There's some metric, some college basketball metric that measures teams on their ability to play on neutral sites. And for whatever reason, Clemson is number 1 in the nation in that metric. So I wish I knew that when I filled out my bracket, because apparently whatever that metric is works, clearly, because we see Clemson going on this unbelievable run. But I don't know. The tournament has been very, very good this year, as it always is. It hasn't disappointed. I won't even ask about your bracket.
I had my whole Elite Eight alive until yesterday. I lost.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I had my Elite Eight was North Carolina, Arizona, Houston. I had Creighton and Purdue at the bottom right. Houston, I don't remember who the hell the 2 seed is up there, but I had them alive. And then top, I had UConn and Iowa State. Everything went wrong yesterday, basically. I lost it was bad.
Why can't I think who the
I can't think of the 2 seed in Houston's region.
Tennessee is all the way at the bottom.
They're at the bottom,
I know that. Did the 2 seed lose? It's Marquette. That's why we're forgetting, because Marquette is forgettable.
I had Marquette in the Elite Eight, all of my brackets, because I just felt like everybody thought they were going to lose early. I didn't see it happening. I don't know. I feel like whenever high seed is publicly picked to lose early, it never happens. I don't know.
That was sort of the trend with Marquette, because so many years in a row they've been so highly ranked. And people are like, oh yeah, they're good. And then they lose in the first weekend. Yeah. Always something like that. But, all right, we'll move on to the nitty-gritty here. Jack has not been on. He's been avoiding the podcast, some would say, because he doesn't want to talk about what has transpired in free agency. No, I think generally he's pretty happy in general.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go player by player. I think we'll start slow, and then we'll pick up, get your thoughts on all of these. I'll interject, but I'm going to let you run with this. Patrick Queen, the largest contract that the Steelers have ever given to a free agent. How do you feel about it?
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, man. That's he wasn't even paid crazy.
It wasn't even that crazy money.
Yeah, I'm really happy about the Patrick Queen signing. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Our linebacker play has been really bad recently, and Patrick Queen fills a need. And I think one of the biggest, knocks on Patrick Queen was that he can't play the mic, can't play on the ball as a linebacker. But I'm thinking that he won't need to here. I think Cole Holcomb is, he'll be perfectly fine playing the mic. He was good last year until he got hurt. I think if you put Patrick Queen to the side of Cole Holcomb, I think that's a good linebacker 1-2 right there. So I'm really happy about the Patrick Queen signing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a very, very good move for the Steelers, obviously. You have a star at every single level of the defense, and we haven't even hit the draft yet. And, you can say Cam Hayward's aging. Keanu Benton, I'll always advocate for him. He's going to take,
in my opinion, I think
a massive step up this year. Him and Joey Porter Jr. are going to establish themselves as, franchise cornerstones on that defensive side of the ball moving forward. All right. Where do we want to go here? Because I believe on the last podcast that we recorded together, you went on about a 15-minute tangent about how Kenny Pickett, you would take Justin Fields over him, but nobody else. And it's like the Steelers listened to this podcast and were like, you know what? We're going to sign Russell Wilson and we're going to trade for Justin Fields. How do you feel about the Russell Wilson signing? Has your opinion swayed on Russ? Because obviously he's not the long-term answer. He was only, the quarterback. He was only the QB1 on this team for maybe a week.
Do I think that Russell Wilson is an above-average quarterback in this league right now?
I don't know.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I would say probably not. I think he could sneak into top 15 conversations.
I would like to think so, but no.
Yeah, right. But the fact that he was signed for, what was the contract, $1.5 million or something? I mean, there's literally no risk. So I'm happy with the Russell Wilson signing simply because of how cheap it was. I mean, we paid our punter more than we paid Russell Wilson, so I have no problem with the contract whatsoever. And then obviously you pair him with Justin Fields, who's a younger option, more of a gamble, I guess you could say. I mean, it's not a gamble because he's not starting, but I think Justin Fields as a second option at quarterback, and I think you could even mix him in with some gadget type stuff. I think I really like the 1-2 we have there at quarterback.
All right, so you're happy enough with Russell Wilson. I think there is some truth to that Adam Schefter report that Russell Wilson, may not ever start a game for the Steelers, because it felt like to me the Steelers were never interested in Justin Fields truly until they saw just how cheap Chicago was willing to give him up for. Really. I mean, we were talking about before we started recording, Jack. We know, and I'll be on record of saying this time and time again, there is about a 95% chance Justin Fields is not the long-term answer in Pittsburgh. Why do I say that? Because when a quarterback is average to below average for the first 3 seasons of their career, chances are they're just never going to be a franchise guy. Justin Fields is a little bit different than all of our precedents, like a Sam Darnold or somebody like that, because of his rushing ability, because we've seen him have that second level to his game. If he's able to refine his passing at all, he has some chance to be successful. Justin Fields is a far more better long-term option, I think. 95% chance it doesn't work out, but the 5% chance it does, I'll be rooting for. No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt. And for basically nothing, you've upgraded your quarterback room in 2 separate ways. 2 separate ways. And you got rid of the issue in the quarterback room, which was our diva, Kenny Pickett. That moves us into a very interesting part of the episode. Jack, he's gone. I know you're speaking from the heart here.
I mean, listen, do I think Kenny Pickett would have been a good backup quarterback? Yeah, but he wanted out, so I have no problem with the deal we made to trade him. So, listen, go let him do his thing in Philadelphia. That's kind of all I have to say. I'm part of me's glad he's gone. I'm tired of defending the guy. So, one thing I wanted to point out: did he handle the situation wrong? You could say he did. I'm not exactly sure why people are surprised he wanted out. Like, some guys just want a change of scenery. Everybody was like, oh, he's requesting a trade like he's a star. That's not how it works. Like, some guys just want a change of scenery. Like, it clearly didn't work out here. So I'm not surprised that he wanted to go elsewhere and just start I guess you could say rejuvenate his career maybe. I don't know.
I'm not surprised that he requested a trade, but it wasn't like on my radar. You know what I mean?
I was kind of shocked when I saw it come through.
I didn't expect to see a notification the Eagles are working on a trade for Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett. It just felt like that relationship with Tomlin and that coaching staff, I feel like it was shot, and I think he knew there was no sort of saving it. And I think he even saw what happened to Mason Rudolph for the first, 4 years of his career, where he was just kind of buried in the depth chart, thrown into the bus. Nobody really liked Mason. I don't think he wanted that for himself, and I don't necessarily blame him, but I think the relationship with Tomlin and the coaching staff and even the locker room really was shot after that Seattle game where he refused to be the emergency quarterback, which a lot of people were denying that report at the time. I have no idea how you felt about it at the time, Jack.
I have no idea. I still have no idea if it's true or not.
I don't
know. I don't think you're allowed. I think if he really refused to suit up, I don't think he'd be allowed to do that. I don't know. Part of me still doesn't believe it.
It's still such a weird story, but it makes a whole lot more sense now. It seems a whole lot more plausible.
Who came up with that story?
Originally, it was Mark Madden, and I get why people didn't get it it was from Mark Madden. I get it. But he said his source on that was Jerry Dulac.
Oh, he's even worse.
So,
I don't want to point
couple
fingers.
Of guys that nobody really likes in Pittsburgh media, or at least Jack doesn't like.
It's not even that I don't like him. It's just guys that are clearly biased against, I don't want to say Pitt, but yeah. I mean, Jerry Dulac is, I don't want to point fingers again, he's a huge Penn State guy. I don't know if he's had a single positive report on Kenny Pickett his entire time here. So I wouldn't exactly buy into everything that guy says. I don't know.
There weren't many, to be fair. All right, hold on. I
Yeah.
got to find the Mark Madden tweet. Mark Madden had an all-time tweet when they traded Kenny Pickett.
Mark Madden has a lot of all-time tweets, whether they're good all-time or bad all-time.
Whether or not you like Mark Madden, you have to follow him on Twitter because it's constant entertainment no matter what. One of the best follows on Twitter, regardless. On the Kenny Pickett trade, his first tweet about it was, small hands, big ego, no balls. Farewell to a gutless coward who's running away from failure to hide across the state. Anybody doubt that Seattle story now? Big fucking baby. Arrogant without accomplishment. I was right all along. Ha 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 ha. I accept your apologies.
It's even funnier when you imagine like the guy who just tweeted that just like sitting there typing it on his phone.
There was a clip, I forget who posted it. I saw it on Instagram, of Mark Madden, and he's doing a show. This was not too long ago. It was probably after Kenny got traded. And he's taking callers, and one of the callers is like an 8-year-old kid. And he was like, hey, Mark Madden, who's your favorite football player? And Mark goes, hey, kid, who's your favorite football player? And the kid goes, Ben Roethlisberger. And Mark Madden goes, well, he's retired. Who now? And the kid goes, Kenny Pickett. And then Mark Madden hangs up on the kid immediately. So
on
fucking...
a child whose favorite player is the starting quarterback for the Steelers.
Hangs up on him. But it doesn't seem, Jack, that you're as upset as I thought you'd be. I feel like you've gotten a lot of time to calm down. You've gotten a lot of time to,
I'd say when it happened, I was more shocked than I was upset. Like I just didn't see it coming. I was not expecting to see that. I don't know. I'm really not that upset. I wasn't that like torn up over it. I don't know.
And whenever Kenny got traded, one of my first thoughts was, well, this kind of opens the door for Justin Fields, no?
Yeah,
Because
right. It made all that more sense. Yeah.
His trade market was nothing. We have basically nothing invested into Russell Wilson. We have no ties to him whatsoever, really. $1.2 million is all that ties us to Russell Wilson. And Justin Fields for a conditional 6th-round pick. Do you know what that conditional 6th-round pick was? Do you know what that pick is?
It was a 7th-rounder, and it turns into a 6th-rounder if Fields plays over 50% of the snaps, I think.
Yes, and that pick is actually the pick that the Texans traded us for Kendrick Green.
Oh, Jesus.
So Omar Khan traded Kendrick Green for Justin Fields, if you really want to get technical with it.
That reminds me that we traded Kevin Dotson for nothing.
Kevin Dotson, okay. Kevin Dotson was never going to work here.
I just don't get it. Like how you can be like bad here, and then as soon as you get traded, turn into like an elite guard. Like I don't know.
He was so good for LA, and he got paid. He's one of the highest paid guards in the entire NFL right now. It's unbelievable. But all right, we'll talk a little bit more about Justin Fields, I guess. Mike Tomlin's press conference, I thought this week was very interesting, where he talked about Justin Fields. He said that there's still a lot of meat on the bone. First of all, what are you even saying? What are you even saying? What are you?
That's the average Mike Tomlin quote. What did he say? What did he say too? I'm fundamentally against comfort or something.
Yeah. I'm fundamentally against comfort.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin never says anything like straight up. It's very strange.
Oh my God. All right. So, but he loves Justin Fields. He's been gushing over Justin Fields, seriously. And the most interesting part of the press conference, I thought, was when he said that Russell Wilson will have pole position to be the starting quarterback when they have, team meetings and workouts in the spring. Pole position. Do you think he would say that with anybody else? I think we need to start talking about there's a real chance Justin Fields could start the season for the Steelers.
That would be crazy.
Compiled with the Adam Schefter report that the Steelers may not even play Russell Wilson ever and might release him if he doesn't want to be the backup and just start Justin Fields. Mike Tomlin saying that Russell Wilson has pole position. Guys, it's going to be an open competition, and one that I don't know Russell Wilson can win. Seriously.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. I don't know. I'm I have a lot of hope for Justin Fields, like more than most people do. Like just watching, I know highlights are a bad way to evaluate a quarterback, but if you look at some of the things he can do, I mean, if he cleans up some of the weaknesses he has, I really think he could be good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're coping a little bit with Justin Fields. We're very, very excited. What number is he going to wear, Jack? What do you think?
I thought it was two.
Well,
I saw the thing that said he was wearing 5, but I think he put on his story two.
he put on his story 2, which if he takes Mason's number, some people are gonna be mad about that. I know
If
that.
any Steelers fans are mad that Justin Fields took Mason Rudolph's number, cope.
But I will be buying a Justin Fields jersey. I think I don't care. I
Yeah,
don't care. I'm gonna be buying one.
two
But
is a
I
good
did think it was
number.
funny because Steelers Landing over on Instagram posted yesterday that Justin Fields confirmed is wearing number 5, and Justin Fields posted that on his story, and then the post was deleted.
He probably saw it.
And his source was like some guy in Chicago, ESPN 1000, and there were like Bears fans in the comments of that post being like, that guy fucking sucks, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's always wrong, delete this. So I don't know, some controversy over what number Justin Fields is going to wear, because we know this old ass franchise is not going to let him wear number 1 for whatever reason.
I love Bears fans.
I also think Justin Fields, well, George Pickens would be mad if Justin Fields wore one, because Pickens wanted one really bad.
Yeah.
Bears fans are also a pretty special breed, I think. I get they miss Fields. I get Fields is very likable. Everything I hear about him, great person. We're going to get into our top 5 quarterbacks. You're getting Caleb Williams. Shut up. Cry me a river.
Yeah, like seriously.
I don't care, honestly.
Suffering from success.
If you want Justin Fields back that bad, Justin Fields for the 1. Just I have a very hard time feeling bad for Bears fans, because I think they're set up very nicely for the future. I think they're going to be contending for a playoff spot.
Ryan Poles has made some of the worst decisions I've ever seen from a GM.
And they're still set up.
Still has a chance to be set up as one of the best teams for the next, I don't even know how long. It's incredible, honestly.
It's unbelievable. It's the only team, the 2 biggest organizational jokes in the NFL right now are the Panthers and the Bears. And if they're not 1 and 2, the Bears are certainly up there as far as, organizational disasters over the past decade or so. And the Panthers, I can't even begin to get into how dumb that trade was for Bryce Young. And this is nothing against Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is going to be good. I really do. I think you get Deontay Johnson and you get another receiver maybe. We haven't even hit the draft yet. Bryce Young's going to look better. I like Dave Canales a lot in Carolina. If the owner can just stay out of it.
I was going to say that's
stay away.
Part of the problem.
Just let Deontay cook. Deontay's going to be wearing number 5. That's confirmed. It seems like he's already praying his way out of Carolina.
Yeah. I feel bad for Deontay, man.
What exactly did he post on his story?
He's just posted a bunch. It was just a bunch of Bible quotes with I don't know. But
all right. Well, Godspeed to Deontay.
Yeah.
And the Bears, they're set up for the future. Let's get into it. Why don't we? Our top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL draft. I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of film. I know Jack studies them. This is a very good list. We each have different lists. We disagree highly on one prospect in particular. Take a guess on who it is. But we're going to get into it right now. Jack, you said you have a tiered list. I think it works better if we go from 1 down.
Yeah.
I think we go 1 to 5, if that makes sense. I don't want to count down or anything. I think that sets up better because number 1, both of ours is Caleb Williams, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Caleb Williams. Let me sit up here. I felt very strongly about Caleb Williams for about a year and a half now. I think firmly he is the best quarterback prospect I have ever seen. 93 touchdowns to 13 interceptions over the past 2 years at USC. Say what you want that he didn't win anything at USC. Nobody wins anything at USC with that roster. Caleb Williams has the vision. He has the playmaking ability. He has the rushing ability. He has the best arm in this draft class. It is unbelievable everything he can do on the field. His behavior is something that has been a hot topic in the media. Some people say he's very, very cocky. He's that good, guys. I don't know what you want him to act like. I don't know what you want him to conform to. Caleb Williams is that special. That playmaking ability, if that translates whatsoever to the NFL, and it will, especially because he has such a good supporting cast in Chicago with DJ Moore, with Keenan Allen, with Cole Kmet, with DeAndre Swift.
Walking into that,
That is the best situation we have ever seen a number one overall quarterback go into. I don't remember a better situation for one. Seriously. Two more than capable receivers, and I haven't even begun to touch on the fact that they have the number 9 overall pick. And they could go receiver if they very well wanted to. They could go Brock Bowers if they very well wanted to. Roma Dunze if he falls. They could go defense. And the defense in Chicago is pretty nice. They played very, very well the second half of last year. And I think you look at this team in Chicago that won 7 games last year and was very good down the stretch. And that's probably the reason they kept Matt Eberflus, even though I'm not a big Eberflus fan. I'll be honest with you. You look at this team, they won 7 games. They were a couple series away from being a 10-win team. And I know you can say that with anybody, but I feel like it's worth saying when you're going to add somebody as good as Caleb Williams to your team. Best quarterback prospect I've ever seen. I truly do not see a flaw in his game. Seriously. He is above and beyond the rest. He's generational upon generational. If I'm going to tier my list, it's Caleb Williams, and then there is a large gap. Caleb Williams is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He is going to win MVPs in the league. I'll shut up. You go ahead.
So, yeah, I also had Caleb Williams at 1. Shocker. I don't want to jump to insane heights here before he's even drafted. He reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes. He has a very similar build. He's a very good improviser, which is the main trait that Mahomes is really good with. When plays are broken, he can run around, make insane throws around the field. There was this one throw that I think a lot of people have seen that Caleb Williams made this year. I don't even remember. He was like on the run forward while getting sacked by like 2 guys and just heaved the ball like 60 yards in stride and nailed a receiver for a touchdown. It was maybe the best throw I've ever seen in my life from a college quarterback. And I just don't think there's anybody that I've seen in the last, I don't even know how long, come out of the draft that can do the things that he does. I mean, you touched on basically everything that you can say about Caleb Williams, but he is that good. That's the main point here.
He's otherworldly. And you brought up the Mahomes comp, and people get mad because, we're comping him to the greatest football player that has ever played. Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams just do things that we've never, ever seen on the football field.
I'm not saying Caleb Williams is Mahomes. I'm saying like he can do some of the things that Mahomes can do, and he reminds me a lot of Mahomes.
If you're going to compare him to anybody in the league, he's not like anybody except Patrick Mahomes because he does things that nobody else does. And I think a lot of people get mad at the Mahomes comp. But let me say this. Mahomes in college was a very raw prospect coming out. But there were some throws in college and some games he had. Particularly, I'm touching on the one where Mahomes threw for 700 yards against Oklahoma, where Baker Mayfield threw for 6 touchdowns and 500 yards. Famous Big 12 game. Average Saturday in the Big 12, scoring-wise. But Caleb Williams is doing that for years on years consistently, and he's showing you traits that are going to easily be there in the NFL. He is very good at winning from structure. He's even better at winning from out of structure and running on his own. He, at this point in his career, he's more polished than Mahomes was at this point. And how much better is he going to get? What's his ceiling? I don't know that matters. It doesn't matter because he could really step into the league and be a top 10 quarterback. I think we were spoiled with CJ Stroud in his play. We could see, I don't want to say that type of season from Caleb Williams because that is very tall. It wouldn't be out of the question with Caleb Williams whatsoever. It would not be out of the question at all. So Caleb Williams is my number 1 quarterback. on my list and Jack's list. Are we ready to move on to number 2?
I believe so.
All right. My number 2 is Drake May. I know a lot of people, this is where things get weird. And I don't blame you. I think that there is only one sure thing in this quarterback class, and it's Caleb Williams. And I don't think there's a lot of sure things as far as quarterbacks go in any draft. But I'm not going to overthink it with Drake May. Drake May is a perfect example of a project quarterback, and I don't think he's getting that label, and I'm not sure why. When I watch Drake May, you see the rocket arm. You see that he has enough mobility to make it work. You see he's a great improviser. He's accurate at times. He's gotten a lot of Justin Herbert, Josh Allen comps because he has this unbelievable arm, but he just struggles with accuracy sometimes. And you wouldn't know it. Herbert, his first year, all accuracy issues were gone. He was just a flawless quarterback his first year. Outlier. Justin Fields. Sorry, I got Justin Fields on the mind. Josh Allen, outlier because he was really bad for his first 2 years. All of a sudden, he developed into a top 3 quarterback with all accuracy issues fixed. If Drake May is able to fix the things in his game, he can absolutely be an elite quarterback in this league. And when I rank quarterbacks, I want ceiling. I want to know what they can bring me. I want talent. Drake May has all of the talent in the world. I'm not overthinking him. I get he's raw. I get he's inaccurate at times. He is the perfect example of a guy you should sit for a year. And I know he's not going to sit for a year. If he goes to a place like the Commanders, it might be rough for a year, guys. I don't know if I see Drake May as a Justin Herbert guy. I think he could just come in immediately, fix all of his issues, and be good, even with a good receiving core in Washington. That's where I'm at with Drake May. I think the rest of the guys on this list are solely dependent on landing spot. Because we talked about it before we started recording, Jack. Whoever goes to the Vikings is going to be good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they're going to have Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. But Drake May, to me, he possesses the highest ceiling and the most talent of anybody left on this list for me.
Agreed. So that gets into my number 2 quarterback. I also had Drake May. One of the points I wanted to bring up is if Drake May comes out in any other draft than this one, he's the number 1 pick. I think it at least should be clear and away the number 1 pick. He's a first overall grade, at least for me. Like you said, perfect example of so Jordan Love sits behind whoever for a couple years, sits behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple years, comes in and starts. He's way more polished than Jordan Love was coming out of college. Yes. I mean, if you remember, Jordan Love was picked, 28th overall, 30th overall, something like that. Drake May is, dare I say, more talented than Jordan Love. I think he is. Perfect example, project quarterback, absolute rocket arm. He's another great improviser, just like I was mentioning with Caleb Williams. I mean, I watched him play against Pitt. He threw a left-handed touchdown. Who does that remind you of? I agree. Everything you said about Drake May, I believe he's the clear cut too in this draft.
All right. So we've agreed on 1 and 2. I have a feeling that things are going to get a little bit interesting here. You lead off, Jack. Your number 3 quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft is...
I wanted to preface this with I tiered my quarterbacks, made a tiered list. So I had Caleb Williams at 1.
Okay.
Pretty large drop down to 2 in Drake May. And then I had not a significant, but a pretty decent drop down to 3. And I have J.J. McCarthy as my QB3 in this draft, which this is going to ruffle some feathers. I know a lot of people don't like him. First thing, I think he gets shit for his arm talent, which I just think is completely stupid. I think J.J. McCarthy has a good arm if you watch him play. Another knock that J.J. McCarthy gets is his good supporting cast. It's not as good as people make it out to be. Their defense was really, really good, which helped them win games, obviously. But on offense, they didn't have a ton of elite weapons on offense. I mean, Corum is one of the best running backs in college football. He had a really good run game. His receiving core wasn't great. Roman Wilson is your wide receiver 1. He's good. Roman Wilson's good. But other than that, I mean, he was thrown to Cornelius Johnson, who's projected to be a later pick. I couldn't name you another receiver on Michigan. J.J. McCarthy, good arm talent, like I mentioned. His deep ball accuracy is very good. It's, I'd say, 90, 92, 93 percentile if you're comparing him to other quarterbacks in this draft. I think he has great deep ball accuracy. Obviously, he's younger than the other options here when you drop down below McCarthy or I'm not the other guys that I have not mentioned yet. He's younger than them. He has strong pocket presence. I know it's easy when your line's really good, but I think that stood out to me when I was watching him. And his frame, he doesn't get a lot. I don't know. I don't want to say his frame. He's a good frame, better frame than other guys that I have below him. He is more athletic than he gets credit for. He didn't run a lot because he played with Michigan. They ran the ball a lot. He didn't have a lot of time to improvise, run. I don't know. There's not much left to say with JJ McCarthy. I think he's another guy, project younger. I think if he sits behind, again, that's another one. I don't think he will sit for a year, but I think if he did, it would make a lot of sense. But he's younger. I think he's already. I don't really think he needs to touch up on accuracy a lot because I think he is pretty accurate.
I think he's pretty accurate. Yeah,
he's pretty accurate. He has a good arm. I think maybe his decision making could use some work, but I think that's. I don't want to say it's an easy fix, but one of the things you would rather have to fix than maybe athleticism or arm strength or something like that. It's a better thing to have to fix than other traits. I do think JJ McCarthy is going to be really good, and I think that might be controversial, but I have him at 3.
I definitely think us saying that these guys should probably sit for a year, like McCarthy. I said it with May. I think it's easier for us to say, but these teams are going to throw him in right away. That's just not something that they do anymore for whatever reason. I don't know that there's really been a quarterback that's sat for several years or even a full year since Jordan Love really is the last of that kind, and he was drafted in 2020. So I don't know, maybe that's becoming a thing of the past, but it makes sense with a lot of these guys, I feel like, because this quarterback class is getting so much hype because it is so talented, and there could be, there are 5 guys on this list we're mentioning, all of them could be franchise quarterbacks, but there's also a chance that only one of them works out, because I'm sure one of them will. But the others, I think it's dependent on landing spot. I think it's dependent on how much they sit for some of them, whether they're able to touch up on some things. It depends on a whole lot of things. Number 3 for me is Jaden Daniels. I think you know what you're getting when you draft Jaden Daniels. I think he might be, I don't know if safe is the word. I think Jaden Daniels has absolutely hit his ceiling as a player. And I think you need to be ready for that when you draft him. He's on the older side. He's 24 years old already when you draft him. And he won the Heisman Trophy last year, had 2 very, very good seasons at LSU, especially touched up his game throwing the ball, which at Arizona State was sort of an issue, even though he was throwing to guys like Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk out at Arizona State. But when he transferred to LSU, it all sort of came together. The rushing ability was there and in abundance. The best running quarterback in the draft, I don't think there's any debate about that. And I think that is definitely going to make him a better day 1 starter than people think. I do worry about his arm in the NFL. I do worry about it because accuracy, not always his best thing. He could throw the ball very, very deep. I don't know if his play style is sustainable in the NFL. And famously, Kurt Benkert watched Jaden Daniels highlights and said he's so good at avoiding hits. No, he is not.
That was the funniest.
No,
somebody quote tweeted it with just the picture of him. It was just like a freeze frame of him getting absolutely rocked. I think you remember the play. I forget who it was against. He rolled to his area, he like escaped to his right and just got blown up and fumbled. Somebody just quote tweeted it with the freeze frame of that. It was really funny.
It might have been the Alabama game, but I don't know. Regardless, I really do like Jaden Daniels. Trust me, I do. I just really like ceilings when we talk about quarterback. And I don't know if I'm drafting top 5, if I'm the Commanders, and they're the odds-on favorites to draft Jaden Daniels number 2 overall. I don't know if I can get super excited about drafting a guy that's already 24 years old, that I kind of question his arm, that I know he can run, but we kind of see how that play style works in the NFL. I don't know. It feels like it might go wrong. I think there's a good chance it goes wrong with Jaden Daniels, but he's so talented. And if he goes to a team like the Vikings, he's going to be fucking awesome. He's going to be a franchise quarterback for at least 10 years. I don't know. I think there's a lot of question marks with Jaden Daniels, but I do like him a lot. He's my number 3 quarterback. Yeah. All right. Number 4. Do you want to go?
I'll go. Again, I wanted to preface this. I have a decently wide drop from McCarthy to my 4th guy, which I think is also controversial. My 4th guy is Jaden Daniels, like you just mentioned. Jaden Daniels, he passes the eye test for sure.
Absolutely.
Athletic as shit, can make throws that a lot of guys can't make. A shit ton of touchdowns, not a lot of interceptions. All those things are true. I don't want to say he's a Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas merchant, but he kind of is. I think when you're playing with 2 receivers that could easily, Neighbors is going to go borderline top 5, maybe 7-ish. He's going to go in the top 7 for sure. Thomas, I think, could slip into the top 15. When you're playing with 2 receivers that are that good, it's hard to not put up stats that are crazy like that, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to point out some of Jaden Daniels' weaknesses that a lot of guys don't talk about. One, this is a weird one that I've seen from watching Daniels. His throwing motion is inconsistent. It changes a lot, and it hinders his accuracy and power when he's throwing. And that's not good because in the NFL, you can't roll out every single play. You're going to have to sit in the pocket and make throws, and his timing, his power, his accuracy is inconsistent because of his throwing motion that changes all the time. And I don't want to say that's an easy fix. I think that can be fixed, and if it is, and if it does get fixed, that would help a lot, obviously. That's not one of the only things I wanted to point out. I wanted to say, like I said, not great from the pocket. When you're throwing from the pocket, at least Daniels, he's inconsistent throwing across field, like making throws at all levels of the field. He's not completely consistent with throwing deep, anything to the corner, deep post. He's not incredibly consistent. He's not great whenever his first read's not open, which is not a play style that will translate to the NFL. I think, again, that's a thing that can be fixed. But kind of my point with Daniels is there's too many things that need to be fixed for me to take him as high as I think he's going to go. That was kind of my point.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement that if Jaden Daniels goes to the Commanders at 2 or he goes to the Patriots at 3, that kind of has disaster written all over it.
All over it.
Because he's so talented, but he is inconsistent at a lot of things. And at that age, he's played in college for so many years. I don't know how much of it you can refine, especially on a roster where he is going to be asked to do absolutely everything. And I mean absolutely everything.
Right.
All right. So good Jaden Daniels discourse, I think. My number 4 quarterback in the draft class, I think he is very, very close to Jaden Daniels, actually. I really debated putting him at 3. I'm not going to lie to you. I did. It's Michael Penix Jr. And I think Michael Penix Jr. is getting overlooked a lot in this draft class. I really, really do. Now, a lot of the things I just said with Jaden Daniels are also true with Michael Penix Jr. He's on the older side, 24 years old. He's not a guy that can really be, refined a whole lot. He's not looked at as being a mobile guy, although my narrative is kind of being helped right now because it is pro day yesterday. He ran a 4.56, I believe. So maybe he's got some burners to him that I didn't know about before. I said Caleb Williams has the best arm in this draft class. I firmly believe that Michael Penix has the best deep ball in this draft. And I don't think that's a debate. I don't believe that the injuries should scare you when you draft Michael Penix because you just saw him in a very good situation at Washington do unbelievable things, take a team to the national championship solely on his back, really. Some great receivers. I think he should have too. I really think he should have. But SEC bias, Jaden Daniels stats, whatever. Different discussion for a different time. Regardless, Michael Penix was first-team All-American. Unanimous first-team All-American, by the way, and didn't win Heisman. Little odd to me. I just think Michael Penix, I think he's very, very good at a lot of the right things, and the mobility doesn't scare me as much as it does with other people. Michael Penix can throw the ball to any level of the field. He is incredibly accurate, probably the most accurate quarterback in this entire draft. Between him, McCarthy, and Williams, I think they're the most refined as far as accuracy goes and throwing down the field. And I think Penix might be the best of the bunch. I think he has a lot of things good going for him. I will say, I don't know how high Michael Penix goes in this draft, and I don't know what his ceiling is exactly. But if you put him in a decent situation with an all right amount of receivers, he might not be able to move, from side to side. It's a little unconventional to have a left-handed quarterback in general. I also think that's why some people don't like him. A lot of people don't like lefties. I don't know if you've noticed that, Jack.
It's
There's some lefty bias with Michael Penix Jr., but he's so good at the right things for me. And I don't know, I almost feel safer drafting him than I do with Jaden Daniels, because I know for sure what I'm getting with Michael Penix. I know I'm getting a very good pocket passer. With Jaden Daniels, I don't exactly know what I'm getting, because you mentioned the things about the throwing motion, the accuracy issues with him, and they're the same age. I don't know. I'm kind of talking myself into putting Penix at 3 here. Am I crazy? I don't know. Michael Penix at number 4. I think him and Jaden Daniels are very, very close.
okay. Yeah. So moving on to number 5.
I can tell you don't like that.
Well, I'll get into that. My number 5 is Michael Penix. So I'm not in disagreement with you on Michael Penix as a player. I'm more in disagreement on where to put Michael Penix in my top 5. He's my 5th quarterback. I agree with everything you said. I think I don't want to say he's the safest option, because I think like the guys at the top are safer than Penix.
Yeah.
But for the guys, when you go from, I'd say if you're looking at him versus Daniels, I think Penix is safer than Daniels. Which is crazy. It's funny because Daniels
seems crazy.
I think the odds-on favorite to go number 2. I think crazy. Penix is. I mean, I still can't get over the one throw he had against Texas in the semifinal game over the middle. I want to say it was to Polk in the end zone. It was an absolute frozen rope from like 20 yards out to the back of the end zone. It was one of the most impressive throws I've seen all year. He has a rocket. He has the best deep ball in the draft, maybe. You could say maybe Caleb Williams does. It's close.
It's close.
I think Penix also had good receivers to throw to, but they weren't quite as good as Daniels's were. Rome Odunze is the second best receiver in the class, but
yep, we'll get in our receiver.
I think Penix did a wonderful job of throwing balls where only he could get them when he's running deep. I think Penix is good. I don't think he's better than JJ McCarthy. Like I said, I tiered my list. I had Williams, May, McCarthy, and then down further, I had Daniels and Penix next to each other. I think Penix and Daniels are close. I don't think either of them are on the same tier as one of those top 3 guys, on my list at least. But yeah, I agree. I think Michael Penix is a safe option. I would be happy if the Steelers somehow ended up with him late first, early second, maybe.
They do have a pre-draft visit set up with him, which I think is interesting.
Which I think is interesting after we went out and got 2 quarterbacks in, I guess, free agency / trading. But yeah, I like Michael Penix. I mean, I like him based on where he's supposed to get drafted a lot more than I like Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about Michael Penix because I think he's getting a little overlooked. I think if he wins the national championship, I think he's a top 10 pick. I think he gets a lot more hype if he wins the national championship. But that's just the way it is. There's always going to be the knock on him that he's sort of on the older side. But to me, he's very, very good at a lot of the right things. And I think he's more safe than Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels might be more talented because he can run better. But I like Michael Penix a good bit in this draft. I think he's the guy that's getting the most overlooked. And when we say best deep ball with Williams, it's so hard to compare because Caleb Williams is that good. He's better at everybody than at everything in this draft. It's Caleb Williams, and then there's a gap if you haven't gathered that yet. But my number 5 quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft class is J.J. McCarthy. I debated J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix. And I know Jack is not going to like this, and this is where we're going to get in a bit of an argument. That's why I didn't interject whenever you had McCarthy at 3, because I wanted to save this for the end here. I don't see it with J.J. McCarthy. I just don't. He is very accurate. Yes, very accurate. He's tabbed as a athletic guy. I don't know that I see him being anything good in the league. I don't think he's a guy that can, roll out every single play. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be able to, pick up rushing yards. I just don't see that when I watch JJ McCarthy. His arm is good. Don't get me wrong. Good arm. It's nothing that sticks out to me. It's nothing that I think is going to make me trade up into the top 5 and get him like JJ McCarthy is being tabbed at. JJ McCarthy threw 22 touchdowns this year. He did not average 300 yards passing. He only threw 300 yards passing in one game this year. One game. I believe it was against Bowling Green, too. I just don't see it. I think J.J. McCarthy can work in the right situation. I get he's young. He's 21 years old at the time he's going to be drafted. I don't view him as a safe pick, and I don't view him as an upside pick because his sample size is so small. Not to his fault. He had a very, very good team, and I'm not knocking him for his supporting cast. I'm just saying I have really no idea what I'm getting into if I'm drafting J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he has a single elite trait. I don't know what is going to translate to the NFL for him. There you go. Go ahead.
I mean, agree to disagree. I mean, I listed the things I like with J.J. McCarthy. I think he's better at some things than I'd say some guys other than Caleb Williams are that are supposed to be drafted also high. I do think there's a lot of upside with J.J. McCarthy. I think his arm is better than Jaden Daniels' arm. I think it's on par with Michael Penix's arm. And I think
on par with Penix.
Penix doesn't have like a Caleb Williams or Drake May type rocket. Penix is accurate. Penix is really accurate, and he throws a good deep ball. And I think that's similar to McCarthy. I think McCarthy just doesn't throw deep balls as often because his receivers are Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson. They just aren't guys that he's not throwing to Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. I think there's a big difference there. I think Penix is more capable of slinging the ball down the field when he's playing because of his weapons. I think if McCarthy was put on Washington, I think he could do similar things. I really do. I think he could. I think J.J. McCarthy is incredibly underrated in this draft. I don't think he's underrated by actual NFL scouts because I think he is going to go high. But I don't know. I'm a fan of J.J. McCarthy.
I'm not trying to be one of those guys that's like, oh, he's a handoff merchant. Oh, he's just not. I just don't. I don't see what other people are seeing when they talk about his upside. I'm not a fan of the arm. The mobility thing doesn't move me. I don't think he's any more mobile than Drake May or Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. I think he's, just average in a lot of things. And I don't want average if I'm going to draft him in the first round. I think a lot of guys are safer than him, and I think a lot of guys provide a lot more upside and talent than him in this draft class. I think it's a good debate to have because there's so much talent in this draft class. A lot of fun.
I think his age is really underlooked when you're looking at, I guess, his draft profile as a whole. I think there's a big difference between drafting a 21-year-old and a 24-year-old. I think that right there just screams upside to me. I mean, I think when you are looking at a 21-year-old that can already throw accurately at all levels of the field, I mean, I think that's big. I think he's got a good arm. His pocket presence is good frame. I think he is pretty mobile. He just didn't have to run a lot because that wasn't part of Michigan's scheme. And obviously you could say he didn't have to do much. When you're playing for Michigan, their whole scheme is they have great run blocking and a great running back. Their scheme was to slam the rock. And that's kind of how Big Ten football is built around as well. I think McCarthy didn't have to do much, but he's also 21, and I think he passes the test of, or at least checks off most of the boxes you're looking for when you're drafting a 21-year-old quarterback. I don't know. I like him.
If I'm going to take a huge upside swing on a 21-year-old quarterback with a lot of upside, I don't know why teams are so down on Drake May. I don't know why they're not clamoring to go and get Drake May. That's just my 2 cents, though. I don't know. We'll disagree.
I have a feeling the whole Commanders thing is a smokescreen, and they're going to take May.
If I'm the Commanders, I'm running to the podium and taking Drake May. I'm not thinking about it.
I would not understand Daniels over May. I wouldn't. I
I
don't know.
wouldn't. All right. So we're in agreement on a lot of things, but JJ McCarthy, good list. I think next week we'll do. I feel like we got to knock out a couple position groups at a time, like wide receivers, running backs, and then O line. I think we'll throw in there because who wants to listen to us talk about offensive linemen in the
Yeah,
draft? I'll be honest, nobody wants to. If you do,
I'm not
shout out
really.
you.
I'm not incredibly good at evaluating offensive linemen either. I mean, I kind of rank my offensive linemen off of dudes that are massive and young. That's
Yep.
kind of what I think about. But
Yep. I don't even think we'll have like a tackle and center episode. We'll just do linemen in
yeah, just
general.
linemen in general.
I think we'll have to do something like that. But it's been a good episode. We've covered a lot. A tweet from Brooke Pryor. The Steelers believed, per source, adding Russell Wilson would have benefited Kenny and would have. Whoa, this is horribly tweeted, Brooke Pryor. Horribly written. The Steelers believed, per source, adding Wilson would have been a benefit to Kenny, and the pursuit of Wilson would kick Kenny into gear and reignite Pickett's competitive fire, I believe is what that's supposed to say. And it didn't do that.
It didn't do that at all.
Okay, good tweet, I guess. I thought it would have some more context than I thought. But regardless, it's been a good episode. Jack, thank you for joining me.
Of
We're
course.
back. We're going to have, we'll just do a mock draft next week or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll figure it
Sure.
out. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for listening, as always. We don't know when we'll be back. Nah, we'll be back. Consistent schedule, every episode on Mondays. Tune in. We'll be back next time on The Standard.